2 hour debate on that.
All right. All right, so we'll call this meeting to order. So we've got about 5:30, August 13th. This is the Volunteer Fire Department Ad-Hoc Committee. Mr. Harris, would you give us an invitation, please?
Yep. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just give you all the praise, honor, and glory, Lord, for this day. We thank you, Lord, for bringing us here, Lord, to do work for the Volunteer Fire Department. We pray, Heavenly Father, Lord, the things that we do here, Lord, will be pleasing unto you. And I just pray, Lord, that you just be with us, lead, guide, and direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right.
All right, so
Please deliver us from this heat.
we've got approval of the agenda. Got a motion?
Motion.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. All right, any discussion on the minutes? All right, so none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so recognition of the public, no one has signed up. And then that will bring us to our first item on old business, which is the VFD funding ideas. And so where we left off last month is we discussed, I think we adopted a phased approach, and now we're going to work through just those different phases. And so where we left it last month was let's work through phase 1 and phase 2 of that. And so just for refresher, so the phase 1 was essentially implementing the fire coordinator and letting that person do their thing. And then we've already got part of that with the county will tax waiver for the volunteer fire departments as well. So that's currently underway. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 would be to then transition, once we get our base work done with our fire coordinator, to then transition into the situs-based unincorporated revenue allocation. And so we had two funds that we had identified, the TGA pilot funds, and then the beer tax in the unincorporated areas. So that was the 2 funds. So
We said the total of those 2 revenue streams was what?
it's about $2.5 million. So it averages that over the course of time. So it would be looks like it's a pretty stable funding source
Which
to
is the
meet,
goal.
yeah, to meet the needs that we've all identified just through our committee work here. So okay.
Question.
Yes, sir.
And this might really be throwing a wrench in things, but just out of curiosity, because I don't typically stay in hotels in Sumner County, thankfully, is there a county occupancy tax on hotel stays in Sumner County?
I believe there is.
Hotel motel tax.
Yeah, I think there's limitations on what that can be used for. If memory serves me, and I'm sure Shoemaker's running late, so he'll be here shortly. I think he's got a list of what funds or sources that are in that site space bucket that we could actually pull from, and hotel motel, I don't think was in that. Okay.
I believe, if I remember correctly, it's a certain percentage has to go towards tourism,
It does.
but it's only I'm wanting to say it's only like 50% of it has to go to that.
Okay. All right, so with that, we'll open the floor up and we'll start our discussions on the phase 1. So anything anybody would like to share to open up on phase 1?
I'm sorry, define phase 1.
Yep, so phase 1 that we talked about last month was essentially we was maintaining the current funding source and implementing that the fire coordinator. And then within that fire coordinator, the standardized data collection reporting, deep dive assessment on coverage needs. There's just notes that I have. Equipment replacement planning, if there's facility needs, support, staffing needs and challenges, grant coordination, and then mapping out the support and readiness plan. That's just some of the things I have. I mean, it's not necessarily exactly what it is, but
I mean, for the most part, for me, my whole thought with the phase one was to get the county VFDs and the data and analysis that the county commission needs in order to figure out exactly where the volunteer fire departments stand currently, what we would need to put in contracts in order to implement phase two, and to get all the bugs fixed so that we could get to the permanent solution, at least from my point of view, which would be phase two. So just however long it takes to get those things in line is how long that should take. I don't want it to be that should not be the permanent solution.
I'm sorry, say that again. What shouldn't be the permanent solution?
Just doing a nonprofit donation with no contracts, the way that
Oh.
phase one would be, it would just be, you would pretty much have a coordinator. But the only thing that coordinator can really do at that point is look over the budgets that the county VFDs turn in. You can help with contracts, that kind of thing, but really he doesn't have any authority until you get to phase two, where the county actually has contracts with the VFDs and they actually do the shell corporation of the countywide fire department. Even if they don't have a primary response zone, once you have the contracts in place, then the county will feel much more comfortable about upping the amount of funding that they're receiving. I would not up the amount of funding that the county VFDs are receiving until they're able to sign the contract to receive it.
So I think we're in agreement that it's the coordinator is phase one, right? And so does it make sense to start to lay out, what is that, 30, 60, 90, a timeline for activity that coordinator needs to complete within 24 months, 12, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, 12 months or so. I wouldn't say it'd be 60, 90 days, but.
No, I think you gotta try it for a year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the reason I was a few minutes late is I was printing out the budgets that I was working on from, what I've received over the past couple of weeks. And, there's good news and bad news, and what as I was plugging numbers in and trying to understand what was happening, the coordinator is key. I know that most of the commission doesn't understand that, and they don't want to buck up for $150,000 in costs to the county. But if we want to keep our volunteer fire departments, which is much, much more cost effective than the county fire department, we're gonna have to spend the money on it. We just do.
Yeah.
So I would say whatever we have to do to get that person funded and installed. And when we go to B, I'll explain in greater depth what I'm talking about. But what the other thing I realized is that with I got a lot of good budget numbers, but they're not separated the way I think I would want to see it as a county commissioner. So I'm gonna have to get together with each of these chiefs or their financial people and really set a standard. It's pretty good and it'll tell us a lot today, but it's still not as good as it needs to be. So, but I would agree with you. Number one is that coordinator. We just somehow have to convince, and maybe it's gonna be with these things. Maybe it's in a month with the new commission that we're gonna have to do it, but it's essential. It's essential. He or she will make all the difference in the world.
Yes, sir.
A couple things. I would submit that the budget information serves to educate not only this committee, but the commission in multiple ways. And budgets, education through omission, I think is a valid way to approach it. One of the things that we can say, here's why we need someone to help coordinate this, because we've been gathering this information for X amount of time and we lack continuity, we lack consistency. We're getting a lot of good information, but there's holes. And so I don't know that it should be Mr. Klein or this committee's job to actually come up with a working budget document that that we submit, say, here, follow this. Submitting what we do have and submitting what you have learned about the budgeting, I think it would be should be educational for the rest of the commission.
It should be, yeah.
The other things that I would add to phase one, I think that it's going to be very important for us to impress upon whoever this candidate is, and the rest of the commission, that there's a lot that needs to be done outside of the specific tactical things. Do this by this time. There should be something in here that says one of your responsibilities is to build a good working relationship with the 9 volunteer fire departments and fire chiefs. There should be something in here that recommends that this person seek or some advice or work with CTAS to get clarification and background. Because that was educational for me, as an outsider coming in, to look at the CTAS report. I think that one of the things that we should expand upon in here is item number 3 says equipment replacement planning. I think we need to identify and clarify the difference between equipment and apparatus, and identify both needs, because one's going to be much more long-term than the other. And then there should also be in here a provision for this person to continue to apprise the commission of the status. So they should also have an educational role in being able to tell the commission, or through the HEMS committee, whatever the appropriate avenue is, here's what I'm finding, here's where I see holes.
Let's see. I put together a 30, 60, 90 day and then 24 month kind of roadmap. I failed to make copies. So,
You can read it out.
well, what I want to do is, Kim, can we make copies of these? Okay, so let's take a brief recess. We'll get some copies made and we'll come back, and that way everybody can have the same sheet of information.
Can I
I think
do
that's,
that so that
yeah, that's fine. So
We can
let's,
take a break anyways.
let's do that. So,
Could she make copies of these too? for
absolutely, we
everybody?
can get the copies made, but let's do that.
Is
So
this one packet or is this just one packet?
That's 5 individual budgets, and so if you could make,
discuss some back.
7 copies probably.
So we'll take a brief recess. And
Make a
then-
motion to
Make
have a
10
5-minute recess.
Yeah, let's go 10-minute recess.
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10-minute
I
recess.
stepped out for 2 cigarettes.
Okay.
Not the way I
Alright, so
do it.
10-minute recess, so we'll be back at about
it's bad for your health.
55 after the hour, okay?
Okay.
Alright, let's come back into session. So thank you, Kim, for getting those copies for us. So we'll pick up where we left off. So on the fire coordinator, that being phase 1, everybody should have now copies of the 30, 60, 90 roadmap, 24-month roadmap. There's a front and back sheets of paper here, so just so you're aware of that. We can start walking through that and decide what it is, if we want to use any of it, keep any of it, change any of it, what exactly we want to do. If a 30, 60, 90 is something we want to provide guidance on, as far as expectations for the coordinator, I know I've gotten some feedback that that would be needed or expected for that position. So just don't want to carte blanche, open up an FTE and have no direction for them. So, Mr. Shoemaker,
I just want to go on record and say I'm here.
thank you. Yeah, duly noted. Yeah. Okay. All right, so the first part of this, in the first 30 days, essentially the top here, you've got listen, assess, establish the baselines. The primary objective, develop an accurate picture of current capabilities, immediate needs, relationships, and risk. So priority actions, meet individuals with leadership of every VFD. Mr. DeGroot, I think that's what you had mentioned. So meet with county EMS leadership and appropriate municipal fire leadership. Establish regular communications with the county mayor, fire subcommittee, if so implemented, emergency management and other appropriate county officials. Create a central contact directory for fire chiefs, officers, training contacts, EMS, EMA, dispatch, and municipal partners. inventory each VFD's active membership and staffing availability, daytime staffing, apparatus and major equipment, stations and facilities, training capabilities, certifications, communication capabilities, existing mutual aid agreements and current grants and grant needs. Let's see, review SOPs, SOGs across department. Let's see, review current dispatch response, mutual aid and communication practices. Identify immediate equipment, staffing, training, and operational risk requiring attention. And then establish a consistent method for departments to communicate needs and issues to the coordinator. That would be the priority actions. Then we've got 30-day deliverables. So after the first month, countywide VFD contact and leadership directory will be a deliverable, initial department capability, inventory. Let's see, a list of immediate operational concerns, preliminary staffing and availability assessment, inventory of existing SOPs, SOGs, and mutual aid practices, initial list of grants and funding opportunities, and then recommended priorities for the next 30 to 90 days. So I'll pause there. Any discussion on the first 30 days?
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot to get done in 30 days.
Sure.
And so a couple things, and forgive me if I'm going back in time to a conversation that's been had. I saw here, I was curious, who does this person report to? At what point in the lifespan of this position, or is this even a concern, are this person's recommendations going to start having a direct effect on individual departments' funding? If they come back to their supervisor and say, this is a deficit, they're not fixing it, at what point do we get the stick out? Kind of thing. Is that something you've thought about? Or that is even prudent to discuss right now?
In this first, and I think I'm on track here, and I'll open it up for discussion, and Mr. Shoemaker, I'll let you make comment too. I think in this first, whatever time period of phase one, essentially it is that assessment and establishing that baseline, and then the next recommendation. So as far as like the stick out, I don't know that we would have the authority to do that under the donation system that we've got. That would come more in phase two with the contractual implementations. And
Okay.
So I think that would be more appropriate in phase two, as opposed to like a phase one. So I guess we can.
Nail on the head.
Okay.
So next piece, looking at this initial 30 days, so we're thinking roughly new commission starts, best case scenario, they approve it, search committee starting, maybe early next spring, this person's on the job. I'd like to have conversation at some point about when it's appropriate to start communicating with the other agencies, because for some, if not all of us, it's going to take some time to pull all this together. Also, we're going to have conversations with our boards ahead of this, because I know, speaking from my experience, if I don't start updating them on these things, they're going to get fussy with me. But I don't want to do it too soon before anything's really happened or has the potential to happen. So not a problem we need to solve now. I just want to put it out there. That is something we need to be considering as we go through this process.
Absolutely. I think, Chief Edgerton, I think for this, once that recommendation is final, comes out of the committee, I would think that would be the time to go ahead and prime the individual boards. Guys, this is what's going to be considered. Just so that it's early in the process, everybody's made aware, but that would just be, Wes's recommendation on that. But I think it would definitely be at the discretion of the volunteer chiefs as to how they want to handle that.
The first phase of this, like you said, there's no financial impact to the VFDs. So, the boards really, this is more of a coordination between the chiefs, where I think where you're talking is, like you said, when we start talking about trying to jump into phase two, where you start talking about contracts and financial ramifications and all, that's where really it comes. But yes, I agree. The board needs to know from the get-go, once we truly know that this is the route we're going to go.
And I think most boards know.
Okay.
I'm gonna say most of them are probably in tune enough, I would say, that they at least have an idea that the discussions are being had.
Right. And I would say too,
No,
also
they don't know what I don't tell them.
within this
Yeah, you're-
within this phase one with the fire coordinator, I mean, the hood's gonna come up and it's gonna be some granular look, so, but we have to have the data and get the data in order to really know how to structure a contract, what's doable, what's not doable. And so it's gonna take a lot of coordination for the coordinator, you know, and just working with, to get this stuff figured out and documented. Yes, sir.
So a question for the chiefs in the room or those experienced with the board, are all the boards radically different as far as the way they're set up? I mean, they've got different numbers of board members.
Yeah, I can give you my personal experience, and then if we can suspend the rules for a minute, we can see how that differs. So my board is made up of partially current members of the fire department, so myself, the deputy chief, and then 1 or 2 active members, and then the rest of the makeup out of, I think we have 9, are people that might have been on the department at one point or just have a good standing in the community, and we sought them out to join the board. So a longtime firefighter's wife who helps with fundraising, a professional accountant who does our accounting and serves as our treasurer, and our board chairman is an attorney by trade, but he grew up as a fireman on our department. So that's kind of our overhead makeup. But I know as you go from place to place, it does start to differ quite a bit, and I really don't know much about everybody else's. So that's why I ask if Joe or Brad can provide their perspective
Motion to
on what
suspend
the
the
others
rules.
look like.
Motion is second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Board of Directors membership is laid out in the bylaws, and the bylaws are approved by, I guess, the IRS. And for Cottontown, board members are the chief, the assistant chief, and then the secretary treasurer, and they're voted on by the membership every 2 years. So they're automatically by filling that office, and the chief is the chairman or president.
When you say the membership, who are you talking about?
The members of the department,
Okay,
okay? And then we have,
not the members of the public.
no, and then we have 2 other members that are, you have to be a member to be elected. So we have
Members at
5
large.
board of directors.
5 board of directors,
Yes.
you've got 9.
Yes.
And then, in the past, there's been a lot, well, you need to have civilians on it.
Mhm.
We have tried and tried and tried for 20-some years, and nobody, yeah, I'll do it, and they never show up. So, I mean, that's what works for us, or that's how it works.
And you've got a whole set of bylaws, which I'd imagine are radically different from your bylaws.
Probably.
Almost every department has completely, you have Oak Grove that has much more of a community board of directors, it's much more of the public. Shackle Island is that way, a lot of Shackle Island is the members of the community itself.
Which they haven't met in a while.
They have not met in a little while. 51, you want to explain how White House does?
The way White House community is, we don't have a community board at the White House, not Military.
Yeah.
They have their fire chiefs, their fire chief, assistant chief, district chiefs, and assistant chief is their main of their board. And then they have a secretary who is a firefighter as well. And the only one that's different is they have a CPA and then they have a treasurer position that most of the time is a firefighter, but he's just a liaison between the CPA who actually does the finances and the membership themselves.
Just to present the numbers.
Just present numbers, but it's pretty well made up of all officers inside the fire department, because I've seen it where some community members are involved, and sometimes that works well for people, but for the most part, I know there's one department in this county that almost gets held hostage by he can't spend any money unless they approve it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out well for him a lot of times.
Well, but, money's an issue.
Right, right. But every one of them has different bylaws, every one of them has different SOGs or SOPs.
And by bylaws, by the way, our SOPs and Gs are worded different, but a lot of them are the same, which that means is if we're fighting a car fire, we do this. If we're fighting a house fire, we do this. We bring these trucks first, and these. A lot of our bylaws, when we're looking at that, is how much money can the chief spend before he has to contact the membership? How much, what's the credit cards? Who's gonna be on the bank? Who can sign a check? How many signatures does it take? those kind of bylaws are different whenever nonprofit.
And duties and responsibilities of the officers.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff is all part of their
Qualifications of the
bylaws.
officers.
Yep. Some you just have to have a pulse. Some you got to have fire officer 7. You know.
Yeah, some of the departments are pretty radically different on
Yeah,
requirements
some
of
you just
chiefs.
Hey,
Hey,
I don't like that comment.
I didn't mean you.
All right, let's come back into
Great.
to the session.
Thank you, everybody. It's,
But to make contact with each individual board, I think is the point some of them are getting at. Honestly, it'd be very hard to get every single board to convene within that first 30 days necessarily to meet them all. There's a couple departments that literally only meet probably twice a year.
Yeah, first 365 days is a more realistic goal, so.
Well, I don't think it said anywhere for them to meet with the boards.
Yeah.
well, he or she is gonna need to probably have a copy of all the bylaws and probably some minutes. That's all public information.
Well,
I've done that in
and-
the past. It's a task.
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't really see this position as somebody who would engage directly with the boards.
I don't either.
More or less why I brought that up is because the chiefs are gonna have to start filling them in at some point, and you wanna do it as soon as you can without being too soon, so that because that's speaking from my personal experience. I have a fiduciary responsibility to update them on important things, and if I don't do that, they get upset with me.
So are you the chairman of your board?
No.
No, you're not, but you are on the board.
Yes,
Pretty typically, are all chiefs on the board?
that's the way our bylaws work, and I think that's pretty much how everybody's does.
Sometimes they're non-voting members of the board, but kind of like the county mayor is. There's a couple of fire departments that do it that way, where they can talk, but they can't vote unless there's some type of tie or something.
So the coordinator in convening with the chiefs would pretty much get a flavor
Yeah,
of what's happening.
now, let's say hypothetically, maybe they feel like there is an issue that needs to go in a different direction. I don't know. They can kind of figure that out at the time.
Yeah.
Whether talking to somebody else that's involved or going from there. It's not gonna be cut and dry as you go from
Right,
one
yeah.
department to the next.
No, I totally understand that.
Yeah, no, and one thing that I'll mention or make mention of here is like, I don't see a need for the coordinator to review bylaws of each individual station, because you're not talking about governance of the station, we're just talking about your standard practices and how you respond. That I think is important, and that's the SOPs and SOGs, but as far as like the how it's structured and who can vote and that's just.
It may just help him understand, from department to department.
That
Maybe-
depends too. Before you get in a contract with anything, generally you're gonna wanna know exactly how it's run and if there's anything that could tear apart from the way that they're set up. So I would think that the coordinator would at least wanna see what their bylaws, see if there's anything in there that would set a red flag to them before you sign a contract between them and the
But
county.
probably not in the first 30 days.
Maybe not in the first
Yeah,
30
I
days.
I don't think that's a first 30-day priority.
Maybe we set that as a 60-90,
Yeah.
something like that.
That would make
If I
more
were a
sense.
coordinator, I would want to have a book of all nine.
That's what it'll be. Some of the departments themselves have SOGs that are that thick.
Right.
So
So on the first 30 days, now we've had some discussion here, is there anything that we need to, do we want to amend, add, delete? Or are we good? Yes, sir.
So, and you hit on it a second ago, the review of the existing SOPs and SOGs. I don't know that as we stand right now, until that changes to a contract base or we start looking at that, I still don't know that that's a coordinator issue, because that's starting to try to get more into your operations and how his department responds to a structure fire versus how I don't care if you take 2 engines and then your tanker, or yours is a tanker and engine first, or I don't know that that's that coordinator's role versus more so what's the snapshot of where the department is, and then we start judging.
I agree with you. I'd rather take because that's literally going into operational, because that's all SOPs and SOGs is standard operating procedures. If our concern as a county is not necessarily how they run it, as long as they're doing it legally, then I wouldn't have that in there.
Yeah, I would just say to get a little ahead of the game, with the coordinator knowing that we're probably gonna be going to a contract thing, he might want those documents early on so that he can be thinking ahead, reading them. I would want.
But even when, my thing with that is still, even when you go to a countywide fire department,
Mhm.
if you're still doing it the way that I have envisioned myself, which is a contract between the county and the VFD is still doing operations.
Well, the only caveat to that, and that's why I was saying maybe not necessarily reviewing it, but once we get to that point, so NFPA does state that you have to have SOPs that cover this, and this, and this. So it may be the 30-day deliverable down there of inventory in the existing ones. I agree with 100%. Maybe not necessarily in the first 30 days, but sometime in the first 90 days to 180 days. But reviewing them,
To make sure
I
that
don't
they-
like the, I think it's the word reviewing them, because that means, to me, that means, okay, I'm gonna review this, and then I'm gonna make recommendations for changes, and that's not that job, and I think that's where you start to get that coordinator starting to try to get overstepping that bound and start to actually make this whole process go backwards compared to where we're trying to go.
Yeah, 'cause I think the intent of this is really to make sure that we have the things in place
That are
we
necessary.
need. And so it isn't to critique or to change, it's just like, is it there or is it not there?
And you go back to when we started this, the whole thing with the whole financial reports going to the state and everything else. And there's been several of the chiefs that have come up and said, and that have made the comments, we just don't know what we just don't know. I mean, and that's part of what this coordinator is. So taking those inventories and saying, okay, do you have inventory? Do you have an SOG that covers how you're going to respond to fires and all of this? Yes, cool. We've got inventory of it basically, and they all do a self-assessment. And I hate to go to the library board, but the library board's a good one. They've got a whole self-assessment tool for each library to use. And that's almost what this position needs to create is, here, chief, I need you to do this self-assessment. Do you have all of this that you can produce? Of course, so you're lacking this, and that's where the chiefs are gonna get that education of, hey, you're not doing this, and you've got to start doing this to be compliant with this law or whatever. And that's where that coordination of effort is gonna start coming into play.
And that's where that's the stick that Mr. Chief Edgerton was referring to earlier. If there's things that the departments are saying, well, hey, as a county, we're saying, hey, this is a legal thing that you have to have. And if the county VFD comes back and says, well, I'm not going to do that, then at that point, you're the one, as a county VFD or a countywide fire department, even as a shell, that's when you can say, all right, well, we're not going to renew this contract. We are going to give this contract to this other department that is going to meet those requirements. And do it that way as opposed to messing around with people's money every 6 months.
Hopefully it'll never get
So on that-
antagonistic.
So my thoughts on this are, in order for this position to be, not the person, but the position to be successful, to give it, the departments what they're wanting, give the county back what it's wanting, most of this person's job is gonna be building relationships. And for the first 6-9 months, maybe a year, to get everybody on the right page and get everybody to come along, because not saying that there's anybody in my peer group that would do this, I hope not. There's the possibility for somebody, if they don't like the way things are going, or the perceived way that things are going, to start dragging feet and causing unnecessary issues for this person, which is gonna make them look ineffective, which is gonna cast doubt upon that position as a whole. And then, it becomes sticky. So when it comes to things like that, I'm not against it. Like, yeah, here, look at the SOPs, SOGs. They're all very similar as you go from one department to another, where nobody's doing something radically different than anybody else. I would like to see them kick down the road a little bit and a bigger focus placed on level setting early on in this position's tenure of, here's where everybody's at, here's where we're trying to get, so on and so on. Then dive into some of that stuff.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? Does anybody?
I think that does make sense, and I would say, as far as from what you were talking about earlier, just to get that baseline, we have to get that established to create contracts. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have the information to create a contract for somebody, I don't think they get a contract. That's how I would look at it. It's like,
Right.
I mean, if you want to drag your feet, you're cutting your own throat.
I
That's fine,
agree.
because when it comes time to make a decision, those who have their crap in line will get contracts, and then those who don't won't.
Well-
And that's just, it's gonna be pretty black and white, I think.
Yeah, part of my role, and why Brad's here, because I need his help constantly, is to update everybody and get everybody going in the same direction if possible. And it could be difficult if they want to make it difficult. So, but yeah, I think kind of baby stepping as much as possible. and giving them a heads up of what's coming down the line. So when we get to that point, we're about to turn this corner to contracts. Here's what we need from you in order to make that a success at the county level.
Yeah.
And it's going to be this, this, and this.
Because I think we're all on the same page. We all want the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's just everybody has to have what they need in order to get to that same destination. You know, so we all have to play nice. Mr. Harris, I know you had your hand up. Let me go.
So, out of all the departments, what department do you think we're gonna have trouble with? Because I'm reading something in what you were saying there.
Is it number one?
I've been instructed by my attorney to.
And there is a camera on there.
Well,
That's why
I
my
guess let me
attorney
rephrase
instructed me.
that. Out of all the departments, how many of them are on board with the theory of what we're trying to do?
All 9 of them.
Correct.
All 9.
Currently, all 9 are.
Okay.
What could possibly happen? We have discussed it many times in committee and outside of committee. Hiring the correct person is going to make the difference. If it's somebody that can get along with the departments, can meet the committees, can make them understand that we're trying to help you, not take you over. We're not trying to get into your operationals, but we need you to do A, B, and C so that we can get you the funding that you've been praying for a decade. And if you're not willing to do this to get your funding, then we're going to find somebody else who is. Because at this point,
And I think it goes without saying, that there's going to be, and I'm gonna pick on the 2 departments that are in here, no offense to either one of you. Your stuff, when the coordinator says, hey, I need this, and this for this contract, you may be able to say, okay, cool, let me make 2 phone calls, here you go, here's your whole packet, there's everything you asked for. And you may be like, well, I can get you item 1, but 3, 4, and 5, well, those just don't exist. But we understand there's going to be gaps in that data. I think as long as that good faith effort is being put into try to secure all of that data, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think it's more so like what you're talking, we're like, I'm just not going to do it because, well, you're going to come take over my department.
Well, I think to your point with the gaps in data, we're going to have gaps in data.
Absolutely.
early on. But I think to get to a point of contract, we have to do our level best to fill those gaps.
Yes.
And put systems in place that collect the information that we need to make informed decisions, right? To make sure that we're making the right decision and not an assumption or this we think, but we can't really point to say, no, this is why, so Mr. DeGroot.
So I want to reiterate and support Mr. Edgerton's assumptions. I think that building relationships, effective relationships, is going to be a keystone to the success of this position. One of the hallmarks of a good leader is getting people to do things because they want to do them, right? Not because I have the authority over you and I can order you to do them. Been there, done that, and you get back, what you sow. So I think relationship building is going to be singularly important. But at the same time, it's not something that you can. It's ethereal enough where you can't put it in bullet points and say do this, do this, do this. We expect ourselves to choose the right person that's going to be able to cultivate these relationships. The other point I wanted to make is that my limited exposure to some of the departments so far, the resistance I think that we might run into could be based on perception of what happened in the 90s, whenever that happened. There's still people that have almost fresh memories of, we tried that and it didn't work, and then they also sometimes are burdened with the perception of what they think might be required of them. Well, you guys might want to do that, but I ain't giving up my engines, things like that, Nobody said any of that, but they have their own perceptions. Again, falling back on this person who can then allay some of those fears, develop those relationships, and get people to do things because they want to do them, can be a keystone to the success of this position.
Okay, all really good discussion.
So to answer your question, Mr. Harris, there's no one agency that is popping out in my mind when I say this. I just really, for the success of this position and to get everything out of it that we're hoping to, I know these personalities from working with them over the years. I want to make sure we're metering things.
And I know a lot of them also.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it at that.
So I want to make sure it's metered, and I really, well, I'm not going to say it because I'm just about to say I don't want to say this, so I'm not going to say it. I want to make sure we're doing things at a speed where we can maintain cohesiveness amongst the department leadership. So that's my, and maybe it gets to the point where we can't do that because it's not going to be helpful for the position. And at that point, we have to start pushing folks, but that's fine.
I guess my biggest concern is from the volunteer fire service, this is what we've been seeing at every meeting. People's in this room now, for the most part. I'm not seeing any volunteers from Westmoreland or Gallatin volunteer, or I'm not seeing those people.
I don't think there's a way to get here from any of those places.
Oh, yeah, but it is. Yes.
I will say that although, say, Tav from Highland hasn't been here every month, Steve Frost from Shackle Island, Mark Jenkins, we're still talking to them. All the different chiefs, almost every time we have one of these meetings, I end up in a phone call the day of or the day after, rehashing everything that we talked about in these meetings, get their opinions on them. And so they're all, as far as the fire chiefs, they're all quite aware of what's happening. One of the things I will say from the chief's perspective is, and you've mentioned it before, we have been trying to do this for years. Yeah. We have asked these things of these different fire departments, these things, trying to submit the data to the county commission to get these minds changed for years. So some of the fire chiefs right now are still in the thought of, well, hey, it's just another route to nowhere. We're going to sit here and do all this work, get all this data together, and then we're going to do it all for nothing because it's just going to be in the same, as you heard some of the public comments when the last budget was getting passed. So I think once the budget committee or the county commission decides, hey, this is the route we're going, I think we will get a lot more of the fire chiefs being a little bit more on point, going, oh, hey, I better get my crap together because they're actually finally doing something. Yeah. So that might be some of their perspective.
Yeah. And I know several of the fire chiefs aren't here on a regular basis, but when you look at our views on YouTube, there's tens of views. So
Going viral.
Yeah, somebody's watching it.
More than the budget committee sometimes.
Yeah, they're probably watching more than just this. So.
Yeah. Anyway, that's yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say that I love this. I think we should handle it as a pillow, though. I mean, I think in the first 30 days, this person could run into a lot of stuff, and depending on his or her personality, I don't want them to get panicked, like if they don't get every bullet, that they're gonna get fired, because there's, especially the first 30 days, making friends with you, making friends with Joe and his son, making friends with everybody, and not being offensive, not being pushy. Those are, I mean, Joe's been, the head of that fire department for years. And I don't want to have this person panic because they didn't hit every bullet point. So,
yeah, and I think also too is just establishing, like, this is guidance, right?
Right.
This is what
It's a
we would
good
like to
suggestion.
see, understanding that it's fluid.
Right.
It's
Good.
fluid. So
Good.
I would caveat that, but is this too aggressive for the first 30 days? I think kind of hearing it might be.
It depends on who it is. If it's somebody that already knows.
You have to start somewhere, though, and set some sort of expectation.
And I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I really do. It just understanding, look, if you only get 2/3 of them, I think we're okay.
For now.
Yeah, right.
For that 30 days.
Yeah.
I think also the amount of, the number of tasks that we would present to this person to do really supports the need for the standing subcommittee to act in support and as in an advisory capacity.
Yep.
And I don't know how you word it in a document like this, but there needs to be some flexibility. Here are the initial targets, subject to review.
So looking at the priority actions, minus the reviewing existing SOPs and SOGs across departments, I would say we move that to the 61 to 90 to truly, if not even beyond that. But I think out of those priority actions, the biggest challenge in the first 30 days that this position is going to have is the true inventory of each VFD's active membership and staffing availability. That's probably pretty quick to obtain from the chiefs. They're going to know who they've got. None of them got 100 members. But as far as, okay, their equipment and apparatus, we've got some of that. The biggest thing is going to be starting to hit, okay, stations and facilities and training capabilities. And, that stuff's going to be a long, ongoing process because they're not going to have that. You're not going to get that in 30 days when these guys work a full-time job and have families and, all of the above. So a lot of that, but otherwise, a lot of this should be pretty easily obtainable within the first 30 days as far as, hey, cool, having a communication, or what was it? A contact directory for all the chiefs and stuff. It should not take very long to get all the admin of each department's information and, at least start a chain. That's not going to, that next bullet above there, that inventory, is going to be the biggest time consuming part of that first 30 days. And I agree. It's a great goal, but I don't want, whoever said it, I don't want to freak them out thinking, well, I didn't get all of this, my job's in jeopardy. It's not, but that subcommittee, like you said, is going to be there to support them and help guide them. Cool. That's just a benchmark for you. It's guidance. So
I'll ask this question. So in the second to last bullet point, the priority actions, identify immediate equipment, staffing, training, or operational risk requiring attention. Should we say start identifying?
yes.
I think we should have it in advance. I mean, that's what I've been doing with this. We could get all of that information now, and the minute he walks in, say, okay, here's your 9 Well, I realize that to some stations, it might be a revolving door. But I think a lot of this stuff we can have in advance.
Yeah, for like the equipment, I think we've gotten an inventory.
Of the large capital expenses.
Correct. I
The
don't think we need to
trucks,
get
the
down to like,
stations.
how many gloves do you have?
That's
Yeah,
a job
Which
of chief.
gloves, yeah.
Apparatus versus equipment.
I think that it's the big stuff, right? That
Yeah.
It's like, hey, what's the big items? Let's focus on the big stuff, and then we know there's small stuff that's going to be needed, but like I don't think what anybody needs to know is like you got three balls of Clorox,
Right.
and you should only have 2, I
So-
think go says, yeah.
From my perspective, having been a manager on the line, the first thing I try to ascertain taking over a new battalion is not what we have and what we can do and what we should be doing. My first job, I feel, is to determine the holes. What are we not doing? Where are the gaps? Right? I want to learn that. I go in with an assumption that everybody's been trained, everybody's got equipment, let's make that as an assumption. But where are the gaps? Give me an idea of how many calls went unanswered. I'd like to know that. And that can be, you can extrapolate that into staffing needs and things like that. But I would want to know what the gaps are, what are truly the needs. We know equipment needs. We know 16 of the 19 engines are out of date, We know that none of the fire stations are, we know that. Not in granular detail, but we know that. So the first thing I would want to know, if I were, a person in this position, is what are the needs, where are the gaps, where are the holes?
So do you want to make a motion to change that one to identify gaps and?
Yeah, but don't ask me to verbalize, because I have no idea. But yes, I'll also move.
So we got a motion to identify gaps there,
Second.
and a second. And Mr. DeGree, you said a lot, and so how do you
Restate that.
summarize the gaps, like the?
Operational
Evaluate the operational gaps and needs.
Identify immediate equipment, staffing, training, and operational risk requiring attention. As far as holes, I think that pretty well covers it already.
Well, I would look at it even more granular. Let's look at it specifically from an operational perspective. Day one, I come in, what are we not getting done? Not because we haven't been trained, not because I don't have equipment, but what are we not getting done?
Well, but
And is it because we don't have enough staff to respond? Right, that's really kind of a
Yeah,
baseline.
I think what you're talking about, how many calls did we miss? Department to department. Those are gaps. Those are big
Yes.
gaps. And, okay, so we missed 4 calls in 30 days. Why did we miss them? Well, because they were in the middle of the day and everybody's got a job.
But that's what we need to know, so we know as far as.
So we know how to
staffing
fix it.
wise.
We know how to fix
Right.
it. So I would say.
That's would be, well, that's what I would.
One of the
characterize
gaps we need to find out, we need to talk to whoever, ECC, and say, okay, who responded and who didn't? I mean, Brad was just showing me the software that he's got, that apparently ECC doesn't necessarily have that information. So how, Brad will be helpful in helping us find all of those gaps.
That's one of those computer systems are one of the things we've talked about for years, saying, hey, we need to get the quality of the way it turns in everything, the way of doing reports.
But that's not gonna help us now.
Well, but
Right.
dispatch should be, somebody at the ECC should be able to compile that data, because when they close a call for the VFDs,
They got to.
I was gonna say, they're gonna close it as either something, and if that means they just pull data, whether it be for an ISO evaluation, and if there's nobody went en route, nobody went on scene, and it just went a time, a period of dispatch and closed, then clearly nobody responded to that call, or they're gonna close it as no response. But there's gonna be some way, and if there's not, I know the software that they use has the capability, and it may be something that we gotta get with, I cannot remember his name. What's his name? Mike Guthrie. There we go. To have them change it to where, hey, if the VFDs don't answer, as opposed to just closing it as, completed, they close it as no response. That way we can start to actually truly extrapolate that data.
So in anticipation of hiring this guy,
Yes.
we want to talk to Michael Guthrie.
But you sit on that board, don't you?
I think we already got that situation worked out,
Do
but
we?
I think I'm going to speak with him.
Oh,
But if they call in a grass fire and they dispatch you to a grass fire, is it not in dispatch that they logged you to a grass fire, or are they just getting on there? Well, then they're keeping up, they've got to be keeping up with it.
If they don't respond, if that primary zone doesn't respond, they end up toning someone else out. And then once they close it, I don't think they pay any more attention because they don't do any type of data analysis for
So
the
you're talking about they
VFDs.
don't keep up with it if you don't show up.
if Highland
Right.
doesn't answer the call and Gallatin
So
Volunteer
how
gets
does that-
dispatched and goes, as far as I'm concerned, somebody answered that call. I'm specifically more concerned with, hey, you dispatched to 123 Main Street for
Yeah.
chest pain and nobody answered the call and EMS went by themselves. That's an unanswered missed call. But if Highland didn't answer and Gallatin Volunteer took the call for them, that's an answered call, especially once we go to become a
gotta
countywide fire
show-
But I
It's gotta
still
show up
want to
somewhere or
know
another.
but I still want to know that Highland missed that original dispatch.
All right, let's reel it in, because, good discussion, just gaps, right?
Gap.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Big
Well,
gap.
It's a
I
big
think-
gap, and we
I
just need to
think that
know,
bullet hits it.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the current bullet hits it, or just identify service gaps,
No, because it's all tied together. Staffing is tied to answering the
Response.
calls. Training is tied to it, because if you got members who aren't trained that can't answer the call because they don't have the state statutory minimum training, then again, it goes back to they don't count as staffing, so it's all tied together. So I think it all stays in
And
one.
I think you're combining all these efforts. You can't solve something unless you identify the problem,
Right.
right? You got to
But
identify.
that's literally what it says is identify immediate equipment, staffing, operational risk requiring attention. As far as like stuff that right now, this is an immediate need, and not having enough response would definitely be an immediate need. If they're only making 50% of their calls, that's an immediate.
Well, and so you guys are throwing out, not facts and figures, but at least terminology that I don't know is standardized. So, I'd want to know, were there calls that didn't get answered, like the EMS call you're talking about, the dispatched VFD did not respond, EMS arrived and closed it. I'd want to know that. I'd also want to know if dispatched this department, but nobody came up, and so we toned out another department, and they either did or didn't respond. That's going to result in an extended time, a response time. I'd want to know that, right? So I'd wanna know where those gaps are, and then use that data to identify, well, why did we, well, because I don't have enough staffing, or we didn't have the trained person to do this, and, it just seems to me you gotta find this out before you can start talking about what the remedies are.
Two things. This probably isn't the best solution everybody wants to hear, but in my experience over the last 25 years, going to the ECC and asking them to track and document unanswered calls is going to be a really big lift. That probably the best way to get that is to go back to that relationship piece and this coordinator asking and hoping for honest answers about, hey, how many calls for service did you guys miss over the last however many months? Hopefully it's a low number. We understand. It has to be done under the guise of, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm trying to understand where the gaps are so we can get more help in here. This is something I'm going to address next time we have a chiefs meeting with the other chiefs, because I think there's ways we can mitigate this on our own without going too far out of our way. Yes, sir. I have a part two, so just.
Yeah, go ahead.
Response management software, like Brad said, we're on the back hill. We being anybody that has wanted to be a part of the calls, we're on the back hill side of identifying one vendor for everybody to use for response management that's being led by Chief Beeman of Gallatin. And one of the biggest hurdles for the volunteer departments in using a system like that is the initial upfront cost of getting it set up with the ECC. Because we're all going in together, we can either share that cost, or what I'm secretly hoping the city of Gallatin just covers it. And I just pay a subscription every year to use that service, which for the size of my agency is not going to be too much. And there's a lot of value that it brings to us as far as reporting, tracking, everything he was telling you. We're all really, really close to having that set up countywide. And the nice part about that is suddenly you have a data collection net that this coordinator can have access to and start to pull some data from there. So what was your question to me?
Well, I want to do what Wes wants to do to rein it back in. We've got the first 30 days here, and I want to set this person up for success, not failure. So I'm trying to think of, just on that one item, missed calls. Is it better to go to the chiefs? Do they know that they missed the calls?
How do they know if they're?
That was my question. Do you guys get notified of every call in some way?
I know everything.
You what?
I know everything. So yes, we can tell you if we've missed a call.
Okay, so if
How do you find out?
We have, most of us have response software or some kind of paging system.
Okay.
Or, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Come out of session or whatever.
No, I think.
Go
we're
ahead.
good.
I think
Let's talk to, we're listening.
Yeah.
After every call, we get an email. Okay? He's using, well, some of the departments use software to do their call reports. I don't use software. I go directly into, not NIRS. It's called NIRS, which is the Federal Reporting System. All these software programs feed into NIRS, okay?
we didn't.
But we get an email, the address of the call, dispatch, well, the time the call's taken, the time the dispatch information is set up, dispatch time. If it's a medical call, it'll show the ambulance, the time they were en route. If I check en route on the radio, it'll have my radio number, checked en route, arrival time, back in service time. If we got 3 guys responding in an apparatus, it'll be a separate entry with times for each of those. It will have an overall incident number for the call, and then each, I'm not sure about the ambulance service, but Cottontown Fire Department will have a separate incident number, and that number's a running tally. On the email, like I said, it shows who's responding. If there's no response on the initial dispatch, standard procedure is that we are toned out a second time, 2 minutes later. If nobody responds, there'll be an entry, CVFD, no response. If it's a structure fire or say a car wreck, they'll tone the next closest department and they'll go through the same procedure. That department will get their own incident number. If 2 minutes they don't respond, toned again. If they respond, the unit numbers go in with their response times, and so forth until the call's over. And if that department doesn't respond, they'll go to the third department, and that does happen.
Well, and to speed that up just a little bit too, as far as just data collection and that being, you can go to the ECC and say, hey, how many, in the month of July, how many calls did every volunteer or every fire department run, period? Then you call that fire chief, how many reports have you got for this month? And if it's say 60 or they've made 55 reports, then more than likely they've 5 tickets they didn't respond to. And you can get pretty granular. Okay, sit down with them and go, okay, this number, you got this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. If you're using software, it's super easy. Like, again, for me, I can tell you in 30 seconds how many calls I didn't run. Last month, it was 13 in Millersville.
That you didn't.
We didn't respond.
As a city.
As a city, that's just what happens sometimes. I know White House communities had big numbers too in the past, but it's easy to figure that out for the most part. It doesn't take long, and as long as there are some records being kept.
Accuracy wise, I would want the coordinator to get the emails and stuff.
Yeah, well, and here again,
that could be done.
I'm trying to rein this in. What can we do for this person to set them up for success? Is that something that somebody in this group could get the last 5 or 6 months or whatever? Is that something that's doable, or are we just gonna say, okay, there's your punch list, go to work?
Wow. What is he gonna do?
No, so we have to have some kind of guidance to provide this person to do. So I don't see a path of success of getting this person hired and implemented. We've got a great JBA, responsibilities and some expectations set, but we have given no guidance. And I don't see that there's gonna be a path to success without giving guidance. Is it gonna be perfect?
No.
No, but it's guidance. And so, I don't necessarily know that we need to spend a lot of time on like, hey, yeah, on day one this, day one that. 30 days is a list of, 7 items, is that too aggressive or no for the deliverables? If we feel like that's at least reasonable, then I think that's good, let's move on. If there's some tweaks needed to make within that, then let's continue discussing, but I don't want us to get bogged down. Yes, sir.
Is there a way to just put at the top of this some sort of disclaimer that says these are guidelines and not hard and fast rules, and this is going to change depending on individual situations?
Absolutely, you can. We can make a motion for it. We do have a motion on the floor at the moment, and that was the identify service gaps on the second to the last bullet for priority action. So we've had some good discussion on that. Are we at a point where we want to vote on that to include the verbiage, replace it with identify service gaps?
Yeah, I'll call for the vote.
Okay, so we're ready to vote?
I'm ready.
And this is just to add in the extra about the staffing shortages?
Just be to take out the identify immediate equipment, staff training, and operational risk requirement attention, and just replace it with identify service gaps. If I understood the motion correctly, Mr. Degree, was that?
Yes,
Okay.
that's sufficient.
Okay. All right, so with that being said, any more discussion on that?
Oh, please.
Nope. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, so identify service gaps will replace the verbiage there for the second bullet point from the last. anything else we want to talk about in the first 30 days? Chief Edgerton, is there a motion you'd like to make, sir?
I would like to make a motion that we put a header at the beginning of the 30, 60, 90-day plan that stipulates that these are simply guidelines and priorities will change as the person enters the position.
Subject to review.
Okay, so motion and a second. Let's, so you want to say something like the following or
This
guidelines?
implementation plan is simply a guideline for establishing the workflow of this position or something of the effect. Just like you said, just something to.
Subject to review by,
Yeah. We don't know if we're gonna have the subcommittee or.
Yeah, that would be presumptive to.
I think you
put
could just
subcommittee in
say
there.
something as simple as the following are suggested guidelines, subject to review.
Okay.
There you go.
Mr. Edgerton, are you amenable to that?
yes.
Okay. Is the second amenable to that? Who seconded it?
Sure.
You did? Okay, all right. So, Mr. Drew, can you repeat that?
What did I say?
I think you said, following our suggested guidelines and subject to review.
Sounds good.
I like it.
Hardest working person in the
Yeah,
county
it's
right
great.
there.
Give her a day off.
Making notes on that. Review. Okay. Okay, any discussion on that at the beginning of this document? No? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right. Anything else on the first 30 days that we want to look at, point out, change, amend, delete? Or do we feel like that is good guidance? Subject to change,
Subject to review.
subject to review, yeah.
You need a motion.
No, I'm just asking, we'll move on to the next.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's slide down to days 31 through 60. So we've got coordinate, prioritize, and begin early action. So primary objective, move. It's on the back side of the page too. So primary objective, move to information gathering to coordinate action on the most important common challenges. So within this section, we've got priority actions, develop a countywide training calendar to identify opportunities for departments to train together. Evaluate training gaps, particularly reoccurring medical response training and high-risk, low-frequency fire incidents. Identify instructors and facilities that can be shared across departments. Develop a countywide recruitment strategy that departments can use locally. Identify barriers to joining and remaining active in the volunteer service and begin developing a consistent volunteer onboarding pathway. Explore partnerships with schools, community organizations, and workforce programs. Create a centralized grant opportunity calendar and prioritize applications with countywide and multi-department benefit. Identify common equipment needs that could support joint purchasing or shared resource strategies. Identify significant differences in mutual aid procedures, communications, and operating practices. Begin identifying SOP/SOG areas where volunteer countywide alignment would improve interoperability. And then last one there is review opportunities to improve automatic mutual aid response between departments. The deliverables within the 60-day window there, a countywide training calendar, initial recruitment and retention strategy, grant opportunity calendar, prioritize shared equipment resource list, interoperability and SOP/SOG gap assessment, and then recommendations for immediate coordination improvements.
What does SOG stand for?
Standard operating guidelines.
What?
Standard operating guidelines.
Or procedures, that's the difference between G and P.
Yeah, I know what the
They're not the same thing.
So the difference there is a procedure, SOP says you will do this, and this. A guideline says, this is what you should do, but not every emergency scene is ever the same. So you might do this. So an SOP may be, We will
Hard
have
and
2
fast.
firefighters going in, we will have 2 firefighters outside ready to go in to help them if they need be.
Okay.
A guideline says we should also have a RIT crew, but we just don't.
Okay.
Chief Edgerton?
Yeah, I put check mark next to everything. I like it. One edit I'd like to see, or at least open to discussion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These should be numbers instead of bullets. Bullet point number 5. Identify barriers to joining and remaining active in volunteer service. Period. The consistent volunteer onboarding pathway. I don't know that we want this person getting that granular in our operations yet, because my personal thing is if I got a brand new person with 0 training or experience, they have a much longer onboarding process than if a 30-year veteran of a large municipal department comes. They're probably going to have a faster onboarding process to run calls.
You want to make a motion there?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to put a period after service and before and in that sentence,
So do you
Strike.
want to strike the remainder of that sentence?
and strike the remainder of the sentence.
Second.
Okay, all right, so motion and a second, so everybody understand what he's wanting to do there?
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to take out the and begin developing a consistent volunteer onboarding pathway. Any discussion on that? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll strike that language.
Point I would make would be that when you're 30-year veteran, you're gonna have you're gonna have to break a lot more bad habits.
That's fine.
Okay, any other discussion on this, the 60-day area? Yes, sir.
Curiosity from Chief Egerton and Chief Joe. Is there currently a countywide training calendar or any coordination of countywide training to allow people from this department to jump in? Is that already partially being done?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a heavy lift.
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
I'll make 2 points. I don't remember who it was, might have been Chris who made this point, but rather than this being a 30, 60, 90-day calendar, I kind of like the idea of it being more of a 60, 90, 180-day calendar.
Yeah, and he's got it spelled out all the way up to 24 months, I think.
Yeah, so Mr. Degree, would you like to make that a motion?
I would like to make that a motion.
Okay, so Mr. Degree made a motion to change the 30, 60, 90 to 60.
What would 60, 90, 180, does that make sense?
60, 120,
60,
60, 120, 180. 60, 20, 180.
I say.
All right, got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
So are you just going to merge the 30 and 60 days into one and 90
I
and
think you just replace the 30 with 60 and then the 60 with 120 and then the 90 with 180. So you just double.
Double top for everything.
Yeah. So if that captured the spirit of what you
Yes,
want
sir.
to do.
Who seconded that? You?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris did, Mr. Edgerton, Chief Edgerton.
The only question I've got is, so we've got months 4 through 6 already on here, which is up to day 180. Do you want to incorporate that into the 180, or what do you want to do with it?
I don't know, I haven't read that far.
Let's, we can push those out, I would think. Just push those out and make it just fluid.
I don't disagree. I just wanted to make sure we addressed it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the 7 to 12 months doesn't turn into 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, because we might not get it
No,
the second
Yeah,
year.
so I want it, a year should be time.
I don't want to speak for Mr. DeGroot, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't disagree that the first 60 days of this position is going to be a lot. I mean, because it's going to be to meet with the chiefs and everything else. It's going to be a lot of evening hours as opposed to normal 8 to 4, 7 to 3, whatever. It's going to be a whole lot of flexible here and there and whatnot. So there's going to be a whole lot in those first 60 days. Then as this starts to build and he starts to get more information, yes, I don't disagree. It's going to get, I don't want to say easier, but it's going to get easier to get things to flow when you start to have developed those relationships that Chief Egerton has talked about. So I don't disagree. I don't think much beyond 180 days we need to change anything on here from where we're at. We just need to, I don't disagree that maybe stretch that first beginning runway portion out a little bit.
Well, and even some of this, what I'm looking at, especially once you get to directing regional and calendars of training, some of this stuff, I'm more worried in this first year to get the contracts done, to understand where all the different fire departments are, and get the basic level. I'm not as worried about this person doing multi-agency training within the first 90 days as I am, hey, how old are their trucks? How many EMRs do they have in staff? You know, how many firefighter twos do they have? How many hazmat operations? I want them to, they've got to figure that stuff out before they can sit there and try to put multi-agency trainings together. And so that's where I'm coming from. I'd rather this person figure out the data part than worry so much about the operational side, other than to know that they are doing their operations the way they should.
Well, so you're essentially saying the same thing that I was saying. You need to identify
Yeah.
the needs and the
Yes.
gaps before you can.
Keeping in mind, this end of the table is commissioners, and we're very
We know
aware.
the tables seem to be slanted that way.
This is a sales job. This person, we have to, if we want him to make it after the first year, we have to set him up so that he can convince the commission that he's worth his salt and that he's having a positive effect. And that there will be metrics that have to be met showing improvement of what's happening. You know,
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
So anyway, I guess all I'm saying is I don't want to get it spread out too much so that after the end of the year go, well, he wasn't worth it, so we're going to cut the spot. That we don't want to have happen.
Right, but who's setting those metrics?
Well,
We are, right?
I think we are, unless we're disbanded in November.
Well, and the other point that I'll make is I think we discussed last meeting that we wanted to do everything we could to dissuade the position, the thought that this was just gonna be a one-year position, a one-year contract. That's just not gonna be feasible for, to hire somebody for a year and expect that this is gonna happen.
Well, even going off of the
Good.
even going off of the JVA, when we were putting that together, I believe we all had in our heads not necessarily this is the stuff the coordinator needs, this is the person that the countywide fire chief needs. And so the person's going to be qualified to do all this stuff as long as we go through that. So I could see, I just think, especially when you start getting to within the first 90 days to already have a multi-agency training scheduled, and probably the way that the board of directors meets on some of these fire departments, sometimes they're once every 3 months, every 6 months. Trainings are generally like once a month, and some of these departments have them on the same night. So even for the new coordinator to meet everyone within the first 30 days is going to be hard, much less to coordinate an agency training between all of them. So there's certain things like that I'm looking at going, this might need to be on the 12-month side or on the fire chief side.
But I don't disagree that having them on here, like we said, especially once we've added Chief Egerton's thing about this being a guideline. Hey, this is the goal, baby. I mean, this is an ISO 1. This is what we want, an ISO rating of 1. But let's be real, we probably ain't gonna get there in the first 60 days. But you know what? If you can say in a blast email, hey chiefs, I'd love to put together a Google Calendar, give everybody access to it that your membership can see, that you can edit, so that way everybody can see what training everybody's doing. You get 5 minutes, you put your training on there. Cool. You just met the intent of what we're trying to do there, is just create a calendar that this chief and this chief doesn't have to call each other to say, hey, what trainings are coming up? Because, hey, you know what? We're doing ropes this month, and well, this guy really sucks at ropes, and he's really good at ladders, and we're doing ladders this month. Hey, why don't you run over here to number 1 and do their training and get a little better on ropes? I don't think it's unattainable to leave that in there.
I hear what you're saying, and from the outside looking in, I understand. But some of the departments don't allow other departments to come do their training. Like there's some other barriers that are just not. There's realistic. I just don't want to set unrealistic expectations.
Is that a bylaw issue?
No.
So that's just an arbitrary rule, I guess? It's just Cause I think for
I'm
me,
shutting up now before I get in.
Well,
it's okay. I mean, I'm good at sticking my foot in my mouth,
Personality
so I'll keep
conflict.
talking.
it could be that, but it may be an insurance thing.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know, but I think we have to get
I don't
past
see
some
the
of.
training
Yeah.
coordination, what you're saying. What I see the training coordination is, he's doing a 64-hour class and everybody knows about it.
Yes.
It's not, hey, I'm doing it next week.
Yeah, it's
He
Yes.
scheduled it 3 months out and he lets everybody know.
Hazmat ops, EMR classes.
Yeah.
That's all 100% doable.
That sort of thing. And it's not the individual. like,
Yeah, sure.
We're doing this.
So what I think what good looks like in this situation, we're already coordinating amongst ourselves and sharing information, inviting people to trainings. There's no personality issues so great that nobody's unwilling to do that. Where this person could do the most provide the most value is the communication, verification, and enablement of all this. Simply having a common area for communicating, keeping track, understanding what's coming down the pike. I just got approval to host a class the other day, and I've not gotten the word out to the other fire chiefs. So, stuff like that. So things like that. That's where the focus should be, is the communication and coordination part, not necessarily. I don't think we have to worry about any of these other issues, because Joe McLaughlin's going to bully the other fire chiefs that don't want to come along. So we'll get on the right page.
Yeah, okay.
There's value here. Everybody will see it eventually.
All right, so,
And also coordinates with the city department, if
Yeah.
it's possible.
all right, so Nick, bring us back in. So with what we have listed here, is there any more amendments, changes, additions, deletions?
We're still on change to
Be-
60.
Before I forget, is the ISO
We
A
do have
good
motion on the
metric?
floor, yeah.
a good metric to that the commission could look at this person after 3 months, 6 months, 9? No. No,
Every
that's-
5 years is when.
I was gonna say, and it's even once they come and evaluate, it's what, 6 to 9 months before you ever get a response?
Short answer, no. If you want to connect after, I can give you the.
Okay, so I think at some point, we probably want to talk about what are the metrics we would use that the county commission can go, okay, the guy's doing a good job.
I agree. We should start identifying those.
Yeah, we may have to hold that till next.
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
But, all right, so motion on the floor, we have a second to move the 30, 60, 90 to 60, 120, 180. So that puts it at 6 months more. Any more discussion on that? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, so we'll update that. So 60,
Can we just do 4 to 6 months and 7 to 12 months? Just make that 6 to 9 and 9 to 12, and then have this finish out our 1 year. So I see where it says 24-month roadmap, but I actually don't see the last 12 months.
19 to 24.
okay, all right, so.
Too many papers, I guess.
Mr. Williams, you were saying what now?
Okay, I did see the 24. As far as, because right now you just did 30, 60, 90 days. So what was being finished after 90 days is right now 180
80.
days. I would like to make the 4 to 6 and the 7 to 12. Just do that as 6 to 12 months of the second year, or of the first year. Have that finish out the year.
Oh, so change 4 to 6 to 6 to 9, and change 7 to 12
We'll
to
just
9
lump
to
it all
12.
together, I think is what I'm
Okay.
saying, just
That way
have
we
this
just-
as 6 to 12 months and have everything on there, right? So back 6 months.
I think he said change the months 4 through 6 to 6 to 9.
Okay,
And then 7 to 12 would go 9 to 12. So it'd still be the first year, just it expanded those out and then shrunk those down. Is that correct?
Yes.
We probably ought to read them first.
okay. Let's, we gotta go through the 90 days before we skip that.
Yeah.
part. But if we wanna change that, let's make a motion when we get to that portion.
Right.
And then
Delay it.
We'll make those updates for sure. Okay, so, moving moving on now to what is now the 180 days.
Did we pass the motion to strike that bullet?
I believe so.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, we did.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the motion, but do we vote on it? Do we vote on
I recall us saying yes, yeah.
it? I guess I missed that.
Nope, nope.
Sorry.
I think it was unanimous.
It was. We can do it again if we need to. Okay.
I just missed it.
All right, so the 180 days, implement, measure, and establish the operating rhythms.
On the right.
So the primary objective, put the new coordination structure into regular operation and establish measurable priorities, priority action, conduct the first coordinated multi-department training activities, launch initial countywide recruitment effort, establish a reoccurring fire chiefs leadership coordination meeting, establish a regular reporting process to the fire subcommittee, just develop an agreed set of baseline performance measures, begin implementation of high priority interoperability improvements, develop recommendations for improving daytime response capabilities, capability. Let's see. Develop a prioritized countywide apparatus and major equipment needs assessment, and identify opportunities for shared equipment purchasing, training, and administrative support. Establish grant pipeline with responsible parties and submission dates, and then present the first state of the volunteers service assessment to the fire subcommittee. So 90-day deliverables, fire service baseline assessment, countywide priority list, reoccurring chiefs coordination process, fire subcommittee reporting process, initial performance dashboard, recruitment initiative underway, countywide training program underway, grant pipeline established, apparatus equipment priority assessment, and then recommendations for the next 9 months. So I can already see that probably gonna have some of these struck in here for sure. Mr. Edgerton. would you like to
Okay,
start?
3 points. First bullet point, remove the word, should I just go straight into the motion to?
Yeah,
Okay, I motion to remove the word conduct and change that sentence to coordinate first multi-department training activities.
Second,
a motion and a second,
because
discussion.
they're not training officer, they're just coordinating.
So, any discussion on that? So we're removing the word conduct and changing it to coordinate.
And this is really within the first 180 days at this point, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, so,
Thank you for your motion.
all right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Richardson, you have another one? Any more?
Oh, yeah, bullet point number 5, I want to seek clarity, on that. Because I have some ideas, but, I want to understand the basis for it.
You said, develop an agreed set of baseline performance measures?
Mhm.
Okay. What is meant by that?
What are your thoughts about there?
I have no thoughts
Okay,
on that.
so I would like to shorten that because that's a little too open-ended.
Yep.
And could cause a lot of issues, so I would make a motion to add, in regard to response and training, anything I'm missing there.
At the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking at you, Joe. Okay, because my thought for that is that could be a very open-ended, never-ending thing.
Mhm.
And we need to clarify, distill that a little bit. And in the early days, those need to be the most important priorities is no unanswered calls. How do we fix that issue? Making sure everybody's training and holding the standard for training, whether it's state minimum required classes and who's responding to certain incidents based off those, or just holding some sort of regular training. So I'd like to see that shortened, or be more explicit in what we're looking for there.
So you've got, develop an agreed set of baseline performance measures in regards to
Response and training.
response and training.
And that's what I have at the moment, if anybody has any additions.
So that's the motion. Will you have a second?
So, and I agree 100% with it. And I think the biggest part of it, I think that's going to end up being your baseline when we get to the contract portion later is where I agree that we need to establish it, but I do agree that that could run forever. So yes, for response and training, and I think those are the two biggest components of it.
Okay.
I'll second the motion if nobody else did.
I think Chris.
What did Chris say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other discussion on that? Nope. All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll add that in that sentence there, or that bullet point. Mr. Ocean, you got any more?
Yeah, bullet point number 9, which is the last one on this page. This is a small one. That comma between equipment and purchasing should be removed, because sharing equipment from one agency to the next is not anywhere near where we're going to be in the first year of this position.
Okay.
So I want to make a motion to identify opportunities for shared equipment purchases, training, and administrative support.
So the motion is to delete the comma between equipment and purchasing. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Any opposed?
I'm thinking like what we were talking about earlier with the software, things like that the county could as a whole.
All right.
You guys already have a fire chief meeting every month, do you not?
No,
Oh, okay. We'll leave it alone then.
All right, Mr. Richard, anything else for you, sir?
That's
That's all? Anybody else have any other amendments or thoughts on the 180 days?
There's some of this stuff I keep looking at and going, I'm trying to walk that line again of not getting into the operational or saying that they have to go to the departments and do certain things and make the departments get in line with it. But I don't think any of it within that 60-90 days is great.
Gotcha. We're guidelines too, remember, these are guidelines.
Guidelines.
Yes, sir.
So on the 180-day deliverables, I'm gonna make the motion that we strike fire subcommittee reporting process, because I think that's gonna come out of the fire subcommittee, not this position determining that.
I'll second that, but I want to make an amendment to that. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that we really ought to remove fire subcommittee from everything. But I do think that you need to have, it's the HEMS committee reporting and not a fire subcommittee reporting. So there definitely needs to be a reporting process for the committee that needs to be established. So, but HEMS would be the more appropriate committee as opposed to the fire subcommittee. So I want to amend that.
You're the sitting commissioner, so I'm gonna second your amendment, or actually, I'm just gonna modify my initial amendment to match that.
Okay, so the amendment is to remove the fire subcommittee language from the 180-day language throughout. So on, let's see here, the 4th bullet point under priority actions, replace that with HMS committee.
And that's for the first X amount of days, as opposed to the way the rest of the department
Because we
heads
don't have a
report.
subcommittee.
I'm sorry?
How do the rest of the department heads report to the HEMS committee now? Isn't it to where they just send a report in, if they have any questions, they email them back? Or do we want the coordinator to respond, to be there every month?
yes.
Yeah, we're setting up that reporting process to the HMS committee. So there's gonna be an amount of time where you're gonna have to figure life out, and then, okay, now I'm gonna start talking about it, and I have reporting on it. So I think within the first 180 days, that's pretty reasonable. 6 months to get a reporting process put together. So we've got it there, and then also too, in the 4th bullet under the deliverables, to strike the fire subcommittee and replace with HEMS committee. Okay, and yes, sir.
Maybe I missed it or misread it, but the packet you handed me from the last meeting, did it say something about trying to establish an actual committee?
There was a subcommittee, the fire subcommittee would be underneath HEMS.
Okay, so
More for like like kind of well, it's not kind of, it is what this
A
committee's
working
doing.
group.
Yeah, it's a working group for advisory purposes.
Okay, so it wouldn't actually be a committee that's a permanently established committee under the commission.
No.
It still will remain, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Mr. Harris. I'll shut your
I'm
hand.
just listening.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, any other discussion on that? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, any other changes, amendments, deletions?
I just feel compelled, this is a minor point, but it caught my eye. I just want to acknowledge that in one of these, I don't remember where we are, there was a mention here of high-risk, low-frequency fire incidents. And I just want to acknowledge that is a really important feature to talk about. It's been a fundamental basis for officer training for a long time. We have a tendency to look at and train on low risk, high frequency type events, and switching that mindset to high frequency, high risk, low frequency, and it doesn't have to be fire events. There can be high risk, low frequency hazmat events, or even medical events. So anyway, I just want to acknowledge the inclusion of that in this document.
Okay, yep, that's in our, what was that, 120-day party action. So anything on the 180 days? Anything else? If not, we're ready to move on. And we can move over into the 24-month roadmap. So if we'll flip the page, I believe Mr. Williams, you had an amendment that you wanted to make.
I'm going back and forth on it now, so we'll talk about it in a minute, I guess.
All right, so with this side, the 4 to 6 months, we do need to adjust that because we've got the first 3 sections are 2 to 6 month period. So what was it that you had?
What I had suggested was to change the 4 to 6 months to 6 to 9 months, and then to put the 7 to 12 months from 9 to 12.
Second.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that is the motion I would like to make, and I believe I have a.
We have Mr. Shoemaker seconded, so any discussion on that? All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we've got that adjusted for the first year time frame. So when we start to look at the actual substance underneath that, so building the foundation for the 6 to 9 months. So the priorities would be implement regular countywide and regional training. So establish consistent medical response refresher training in coordination with EMS, implement recruitment and onboarding initiatives, begin pursuing priority grants, develop volunteer common SOP, SOG frameworks for areas recruiting interoperability, or requiring interoperability, improve mutual aid and communications procedures, establish community sharing protocols where appropriate, develop a comprehensive apparatus replacement capital needs forecast, establish baseline performance reporting, and then develop recommendations addressing daytime staffing and response gaps. So the expected outcomes for that time period, the 6 to 9 months, a functioning countywide coordination structure with regular training, communication, performance monitoring, and collaborative planning. Any discussion on that area?
So when looking at this, is this under the assumption that in the 24-month range, we've moved into contracting and things like that?
So the 24-month, right now, we're still within the first year.
Okay.
So this will just be that 6 to 9 months.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So,
But I think is the goal at the way you've got it listed right now, after that first year, we would have the contracts and the second year is going with contracts, or you got the whole 24 months to figure out the donation part?
let's get there when we get there. But for right now, this first, the 6 to 9 months, anything in this section that we need to adjust or change?
Then I want to make a motion to edit bullet point number 3 to just say implement recruitment initiatives and get rid of onboarding, because it's what we were just saying
Yep.
a minute ago.
Yep, so, the motion on the floor is to remove the words and onboarding.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Anything else?
I don't know that the coordinator will be able to pursue the grants himself.
I mean, he can coordinate that effort and send it out, you know, it's, I mean,
Well, then we gotta change the language.
Yeah, then we need to change it to begin coordinating, pursuing priority grants with the fire chiefs or something, because he can't write a grant by himself. He doesn't have a department to write it
yeah,
for
no,
him.
absolutely.
So I mean, there's gotta be a,
So do we want
Make a
to
motion.
insert some language there?
Did we have him identifying grant possibilities
Yes.
earlier?
Yeah, we
I think that
did.
was- Yeah, the previous section had that, or the section before that had that.
and you might want to do the same with the other, but I would word it as begin coordinating,
Grants with the chiefs.
begin coordinating the pursuit of priority grants with the volunteer fire chiefs, the county fire chiefs. Because honestly, when you're talking about grants and you're talking about regionals, it's not just the volunteer fire chiefs he'll be coordinating the grants with, it'll be the cities as well. Because you can get a regional grant where it's countywide.
Gotcha, okay.
We've done the same thing with radios in the past.
All right, so motion, we get a second. I thought we had a second, maybe do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, got a second, Mr. Klein. So the motion is to insert coordinating the pursuit of
Priority grants with the county fire chiefs.
with, okay. All right,
I know you're doing a lot of writing over there on that, but I'm actually gonna make a motion, that we just strike that completely, an amendment. That we strike that completely because of the fact that in the 60 days, we've already got him by gathering and a deliverable, an initial list of grant funding opportunities. So if he's doing his job in coordinating, they've already got all of that information.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem having it back in here again because it is a little bit different identifying and actually going for them.
any other discussion?
I don't see a problem with some redundancy in some of this, it just kind of reinforces it.
Yeah. And I think the pursuit of grants is pretty key, so we definitely don't want to lose sight of that, but
That's a big thing I want the coordinator going after, is
Yeah.
trying to save tax dollars.
absolutely. All right, Mr. Shoemaker, do you want to make an amendment?
No, we'll leave it. I do wanna just point out just so everybody, I don't like that it's in a time bullet because not all the grants are open at all times.
Guidelines.
Exactly. So, when that 6 to 9 month period, when that is, one's gonna dictate when the position gets filled. Two, then so, just clarifying, just for the record, that it may end up being 3 to 4 months, but, and they start trying to push safer grants or AFG grants just because, well, that's when FEMA's opened the grant period based on when this position got filled, so.
Right, I understand that, it's a valid point, but
Subject to
these
review.
happen every year.
Yeah.
And
You can still
even
follow
if
along.
we've passed that point when this person's ready to start doing that, they can apply that work towards the next year's.
Start gathering
Because
data.
if you're gonna truly be successful in some of these larger grants, it takes some time to put it all together and submit a good application. So, procedure wise, no, I don't like your amendment. Is that how we do that? Sorry, guys, I'm getting tired and long-winded, so,
That's okay.
how do we clean this up and move on with?
So we have a motion on the floor just to reword that essentially, so begin coordinating the pursuit of priority grants with county fire chiefs. So it's just to begin that. Cool. So doesn't mean stop after the 9th month or, just, you gotta begin it. So, any more discussion on that? Nope. All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, any other changes there?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Bullet point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Establish equipment sharing protocols where appropriate. Takes me back to Chief
Yeah,
Edgerton.
I wanna make a motion to strike that one entirely.
Second.
Motion to strike it. Any motion and second? Any discussion? All all in favor say aye. All right, so that's struck.
Lovely.
All
Okay,
right.
so can I make another motion?
Absolutely.
It's a long document.
I'm trying to do the work of the people. We've stricken that. I want to add a bullet point. Help me word this, Joe. To begin the process of ensuring new apparatus and equipment compatibility.
Yeah, interoperability between departments.
Is that on here somewhere?
I thought it was.
I thought it was.
There was a thing
Develop-
about purchasing
Well, there's
shared.
develop volunteer common SOP, SOG frameworks for areas requiring interoperability. Would that not fit into that?
No, this is more the trying to encourage everybody to buy the same stuff. So we're not all using different air packs or
Same size, so
same set.
same
Well, no.
size connectors.
So you've got begin identifying SOP, SOG areas where voluntary countywide alignment would improve interoperability.
Are we gonna discuss
Wow, that was
LDHOs
nice.
already?
No, it's already on there.
Oh.
That wasn't me. It's
Oh,
already on
that's
there.
What month was that on?
Good, because that was gonna be a question that I had, was,
Yeah, you read
Is
that.
there an interoperability?
somewhere. What was that?
Yes, I said that wasn't me. That's on the 61, well, the old 31 to 60 or the new 60 to 120. On the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th bullet. Right above the 120-day deliverables. Right there where it says 60-day deliverables, Curtis, on your left.
I'm looking at
Yeah,
it.
yeah, so begin identifying SOP, SOG areas where volunteer countywide alignment would improve interoperability. That's a big word. I don't know.
Operability.
You gotta say it really fast.
Absolutely, but she got it. Okay, we got it. So do we feel like we need to add that again there, or is that sufficient at the earlier process?
I wouldn't mind. Like he said, I wouldn't mind a little bit of redundancy when it's something that
It's
important.
pretty standard.
So we've got identifying, we want to implement, well, we can't really,
Continue identifying.
I was saying, I mean, it's there.
we can't, at this
We can't
point,
dictate
we can't
anything.
dictate it, all we can do is suggest it, right?
Yes, that's the all of this. At the end of the day, it's this coordinator is going to have to walk that line of
Absolutely, yeah, you can't force it.
Carrot
You
and
just gotta
stick.
suggest it, so.
That's the county budget.
well, even then.
County budget.
But it'd be like that. Sorry, software. Just because you buy it for them doesn't mean they have to use it.
So Chief, what was your motion? You wanted to add?
Yeah, motion to add in a line. Let's say to begin providing recommendations on common equipment purchases.
There you go.
Second.
I think where a lot of this is gonna fall is providing recommendations.
All right, so we began providing
You ran
recommendations
for another
on
4
common equipment purchases. All right, okay. All right, motion and seconding discussion on that one? None, seeing none, okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, all right, so, based on feedback from Mr. Harris, do we want to put a pin in this until?
Oh my gosh, that's
Our
great.
next meeting to give everybody an opportunity to review the last 2 pages of this document. Does that sound good?
It sounds good.
Okay, all right, so we will come back to this and pick up where we left off next meeting in a couple weeks. So that's gonna lead us to, we're not done. That is gonna lead us to our next item on our agenda. VFD budgets. We adopted these last month, or last meeting. I think Mr. Klein had an update you want to provide.
Yeah, let me just provide an update, because these are other things that I think we need the chiefs to go through. So let's look at Cotton Town Fire Association. It's up on the top left. I got a list of obviously all of the compilations of the line items. So for instance, Cottontown Fire ends up with a negative, on the top right there, of $39,000 based on what their costs are for the year. That's radically different from number one VFD, which is, they have a total income of $121,400, total expenses of $82,350, and they're in the good by $39,000. So these are justifications of why we need this coordinator, really the long and short of it. And you can look at the detail on your own. One of the things, you know, here's Southeast, and I need to sit down with Charlie and see if all of his numbers are right, because he's ending up 71,000 in the good, because he's got a total income of over $250,000. His expenses are 183, and then his profit is supposed to end up with 71,000 at the end of the year. The big one is Oak Grove, and let me point out a few things, and this is where I'm going to need some guidance in our next meeting. I actually had to add an entire area on page 2 for testing. It's at the top of the page. And nobody else, none of the other fire chiefs talked about testing to this degree. You know, he's talking about $15,000 just to test the apparatus. I'm not even sure what Cascade.
It's what they use to refill the air bottles.
To do what?
Refill the air bottles.
Oh, okay, okay. Gear washing, $1,500. Extrication equipment, $1,200. SCBA and mask fit, $1,800. Nobody talked about that. I remember him telling me mask fitting is a big deal.
Yearly.
And so, is this something that I should keep in the pro forma and go back to the other chiefs and ask, you know, do you guys not do this? Or, you know, maybe you can help, Joe, or
Well, I put that expense in a different spot.
you did.
I think it's just education.
I believe it's under PPE.
With some of these, Mr. Klein, I think when you look at this, the testing as far as the bucket goes,
Mm-hmm.
you've got repairs in there. And so is that repairs actual testing?
I know the expense went in there, but
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them put it in professional fees and permits.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the vernacular thing where I need to suss it out so that we're talking apples to apples.
And honestly, that's another one of those things where when the coordinator sits down with them, because that's my thing. At this point, the commissioners and the people on the committee, we need to have the exact same person go and talk to every single board and every single fire chief and sit down with them and find out, please tell me that you do this, show me where you're doing this.
Well, and I would love to hand this off to him, except I'm not convinced we're gonna get him unless I do the work.
that's the problem, or the problem that I see is how the numbers are reported.
Right.
And how everything's broken out.
Right.
Everybody does it different, and there's almost no guidelines on how to do it. So,
Well, and that's why I'm trying to
yeah.
establish all nine of you to us to use the same wording.
Commissioner Klein, I
Every
think what we
report that
can,
we're asked to provide is formatted different, and the numbers are broken up different.
yeah. So Commissioner Klein, I think what we can do is add that into one of our later we'll just say maybe it's in the first 12 months, is to create those guidelines for financial reporting.
Well, and what we're talking about is we're talking about the chart of accounts.
Yeah, because we've already adopted the chart of accounts that you provided the last meeting.
Yeah, and what I've been doing is adding to them.
Yeah, so we've already got that adopted, so now we just need to, if we need guidelines on how to use that, I think that would just be another task.
How much response have you had from the other county VFDs since our last meeting?
Well, I've got 5 here, and I was gonna do, who's got 3 stations? Highland. Theirs was really broken up, and I gotta do some real number crunching to
They do
make.
have a good CPA though.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna need to get together with him.
Mr. Shoemaker.
So I want to clarify on Oak Groves here. One, the first thing I noticed is this is from July 1 of 26 to June of 27. So this is an anticipated budget, not what
Right.
they've actually spent.
Right.
Looking at it, he's got $100,000 right out the gate on paid per call,
Right.
which I don't believe any other department currently does. Other than, well, I know White House Community, but okay. I mean, so just, and then they got a part-time salary position on there for another 12,000 and a part-time salary for the chief for 36,000.
Right.
So $148,000 right there for paying people that currently doesn't happen.
Right.
So when you look at it and he's $390,000 in the deficit, that's a whole lot of
Well,
shooting for an ISO of 1 when we're really still down here at a 5.
and I had asked him to give me 2025, not 2020.
Which, in his defense, I know he's the new chief and may not have all of that access. But
Right. So I'm probably gonna have to sit down with him and reason. Yeah, go ahead.
This is one of those occasions where I was telling the committee before, where there's occasions where the fire chief is the operational and the financial, and then there's certain departments, Oak Grove, it's gonna be Denise Green. Shackle Island, it's gonna be Steve Frost. There are certain people on those boards that in some departments' cases, the fire chief themselves does much more operational and chairmanship, whereas there's certain ones that honestly, when it comes to the nickels and dimes, sometimes those treasurers know 10 times better. So even if, say, Oak Grove doesn't know 2 years ago the way, because he wasn't the chief at the time, the treasurers and the boards do.
Okay, so I guess what I'm asking is for guidance from this body. I'm happy to keep going down this rabbit hole because I'm personally convinced, and this is, that if we don't have real numbers that are accurate to present to the county commission, we won't get our coordinator.
I personally think that, David, I think that Mr. DeGroot made a good point. It's the absence of certain information tells us just as strong a story as actually having that data. Because we've been working on this now for how many months?
3 or 4.
Yeah, and we've made progress and we've still got a little ways to go. So for me, just to know that, hey, guys, there's these big deltas and how we need the guidelines established and we need someone to establish those guidelines, tells me everything I need to know and helps me to reinforces for me the need for a coordinator and not like just the exact dollars and cents as to how it all ties out. But that's how I process. So I don't need as much information as what you would need. But
Yeah.
I think the absence of that information, because we've been working on it for a long time, and we do have a chart of accounts that we did adopt, and so we do have a structure to start with. The next thing may be to look at guidelines as to how to populate those numbers and start there. And then we can always add to or take away at a future date, because I don't necessarily know that we're going to make it perfect.
I don't know that we are either.
I don't think we're going to get there in the near term. But I think we've got a good start, a good base starting point. And now it's just like, okay, this roadmap, what do we expect to get out of it? And how you just use it? Would be, I guess, the next step or direction that I would offer or land.
Okay, so you would like me to go back to the previous pro forma? Or should I, the whole testing thing, I mean, we can lump all that testing into something.
Yeah, I think you go back to what was provided for us last meeting that we did approve.
Uh-huh,
And that's where we'll stop.
okay,
Now, define what goes into those buckets.
Yeah, okay, so,
So, Mr. Klein, what is your opinion of the best thing to get from the individual agencies to get where we're trying to go?
well, I think if we're gonna stay with the previous pro forma, I'll come up with a sub list that, you know, testing goes into this chart or this account number and, you know, we'll make it work one way or another. I just want to make sure that we're talking apples to apples between all 9 departments.
And I think without guidelines to know what to put in, we're still gonna have apples and oranges, so that's the next missing piece, I would say.
Okay,
Just those guidelines.
okay,
And I think we'll get there with those.
yeah.
And I think it'll serve the purpose as to what is intended.
Yeah, I really want this thing to go through and I wanna make sure that the commissioners understand it. And that's the hard part, because I certainly didn't understand until we put this committee together.
Okay, anything else on the budgets?
Nope.
Nope, okay,
I think we,
so we'll move on from there. All right, so the first item on new business, we're getting there. And we could even postpone this, guys, until next week.
motion to propose, postpone, defer, whatever you wanna call it.
Defer this till next meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so motion to defer, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, and recognition of public for non-agenda items. No one signed up, all right.
We've been doing that the whole time.
Let's see, all right, one last motion.
To adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you, guys.
Racetrack pizza time.
I'll help you out just a little bit. What I was talking about earlier with that computer program.
Yeah.
I was talking to a CPA actually